My husband took me to dinner and said, I need to tell you something. His hands were shaking. I'm seeing someone else. My heart dropped. Why? He looked down. Because I needed you to hate me enough to leave. Tears stung my eyes. Then I took a deep breath, smiled, and pulled out my phone. Funny. I was going to say the same thing. I pressed play on a video, him kissing another woman. His jaw dropped. Where did you get that? I stood up, tossing divorce papers on the table. I hired a private investigator. You thought you were ending this on your terms? His face turned white when he saw who walked in next. I, 38 female, have been married to my husband, David, 41 male, for 15 years. We met in college at the University of Illinois, dated all 4 years, and got married the year after we graduated. We live in Chicago, own a townhouse in Lincoln Park, no kids, not by choice, unfortunately, 2 cats. From the outside, we looked like that couple. Stable. Happy. Low drama. Comfortable. Maybe even boring. But boring is a lie. It was all a damn lie. A few weeks ago, David asked me if I wanted to go out to dinner on Friday night. This wasn't weird, we've always done Friday night date nights. Not every week, but often enough to keep things feeling special. He picked one of our favorites, a little Italian place in Little Italy. We've celebrated anniversaries there, birthdays, even the night we closed on our first home. That place had a lot of history for us. So I got dressed, nothing fancy, black dress, light makeup, same perfume he always said he liked on me. He wore a button-down and looked nervous. I didn't think much of it at first. Thought maybe he had a rough week at work or something. We made small talk in the car, but he was quiet. Kept drumming his fingers on the steering wheel at red lights. Weird, but again, I brushed it off. We get seated, order a bottle of wine, and I could just feel something was off. He wouldn't look me in the eyes. His hands were shaking when he picked up the glass. I asked, are you okay? And he gave this half-nod, half-shrug thing. Then, right as the appetizers come out, he says, I need to tell you something. He doesn't look at me when he says it. He's staring at his plate. I felt a knot form in my stomach. I said, what is it? He took a breath, hands gripping the edge of the table. I'm seeing someone else. My brain just froze. I stared at him. I don't even think I blinked. My first thought was, did I just hear that right? Then the rest of it hit me like a damn freight train. My husband. My partner for 15 years. Cheated on me. And just casually dropped it over fried calamari. I managed to ask, why? It barely came out. He looked down. Couldn't even face me. His voice was low. Because I needed you to hate me enough to leave. I just sat there, mouth open. I honestly thought I was going to throw up. Everything went blurry. I could feel the heat in my chest, the pressure behind my eyes, but I didn't cry. Not yet. Instead, I reached into my purse and pulled out my phone. That video? I played it right there in the restaurant. David's face went pale. Like, ghost white. He whispered, where did you get that? I didn't answer. I just stood up and dropped a folder on the table. Divorce papers. He didn't even touch them. Just stared like he was in some kind of shock. I said, you thought you were ending this on your terms? His mouth opened but nothing came out. And then, this is the part that still gives me goosebumps, Lisa walked in. Lisa is my best friend. Has been since high school. She knew everything. She helped me find the PI. She even sat with me for hours watching the footage, holding my hand when I cried the first time. She walked right up to our table, looked David dead in the eyes, and said, you're lucky she's handling this better than I would. David's eyes bounced between us. I could see the panic growing. He looked scared. Not of Lisa, not of me really, but scared of what was happening. That he'd lost control. And it hit me, he never thought I'd fight back. He thought he could confess, play the hate me so you can leave card, and walk away clean. Like he was doing me a favor. He thought I'd sob, storm out, maybe slap him. But he never expected that I already knew. That I had proof. That I came prepared to burn it all down. He mumbled something like I didn't mean for it to go this far, but I didn't care anymore. I said, save it. We're done. My lawyer's name is in the paperwork. Sign it or don't. I'm out. Lisa and I walked out. Left him sitting there with his lies and his wine and his silence. The crazy part? That wasn't even the whole story. The woman in the video? She wasn't just some random coworker. The PI ran her plates and found out who she was. She's married. And her husband? Well, let's just say, he's going to be very interested in what I have to share with him. I haven't sent him the footage yet. But I will. And that's not even the end. There's more. Way more. Things I've uncovered in the days since that dinner that make me question everything about the man I married. And yeah. I'm okay. Better than I thought I'd be. But damn, this ride's not over yet. If you haven't read part 1, here's the short of it. My husband, David, 41M, took me, Sarah, 38F, to dinner and told me he was seeing someone else. Thought he'd shock me and walk out clean. But I already knew. I had a video. I had divorce papers. And I had backup, my best friend Lisa. I walked away. But things didn't end at that table. I thought that was the worst of it. It wasn't. The PI told me he did a little extra digging. Not just on Natalie. But David. He found out David had rented another apartment. A studio in the West Loop. Paid for it in cash. It had been in use for over 8 months. 8 months. That's how long this had been going on. Longer, maybe. My brain couldn't wrap around it. The man who told me he needed me to hate him had basically been living a double life. And then I remembered something. 3 months ago, he told me he was going on a team retreat. A 3-day trip to a cabin outside Milwaukee with his architecture firm. He even showed me an email about it. I remembered him packing extra hoodies, a flashlight, hiking boots. The works. The PI checked. There was no retreat. No trip. No cabin. David spent those 3 days in that apartment with Natalie. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Natalie's husband, Ben. I wondered if he had any idea. I wondered if he was lying next to her right now, completely clueless, like I was just a few weeks ago. So I did something impulsive. Maybe dumb. Maybe not. I sent him a message. I found him on Facebook, his profile was public. Sent him a short message. Just, hi. I think we need to talk. It's about your wife. I'm not crazy. I have proof. My number is below. I didn't expect a reply that night. But he messaged back within the hour. We met the next afternoon at a coffee shop in West Town. I sat at the corner table, phone in hand, video queued up. I was nervous, but calm. Maybe I was running on anger. Maybe it was adrenaline. But the moment he walked in, I knew. He already knew something was wrong. He looked tired. Pale. Like someone who hadn't slept in days. He sat across from me, no small talk. He just said, "Is she sleeping with him?" I didn't answer. I just hit play. He watched the video. The same one I showed David. Natalie, kissing my husband like they'd done it 100 times. Her hand in his hair. His hands around her waist. Like they had nothing in the world to hide. Ben stared at the screen. No words. No reaction. Just stillness. Then he exhaled and looked up at me. She told me she was working late. That hit me harder than I expected. He wasn't angry. Not yet. He was broken. Just like I had been. We sat in silence for a long time. Then he said, "I need time. I don't know what to do." I told him I understood. I gave him the PI's contact. Told him I had more photos, more proof. Told him I was filing for divorce. Told him I wasn't doing this out of revenge. I just didn't want to be lied to anymore. And I figured he didn't either. He nodded and left. Didn't take his coffee. Just walked out into the cold and disappeared down the street. You'd think that would be the end of it, right? But 2 days later, David showed up. At Lisa's house. She opened the door and there he was. Looking wrecked. Unshaven. Dark circles under his eyes. I was sitting on the couch when he walked in. He didn't even look at me. Just said, "I need to talk." Lisa looked at me. I nodded. She left the room, but not far. David sat down across from me, ran his hands through his hair, and finally looked at me. Really looked. "I'm sorry," he said. I stared at him. Didn't say a word. "I messed everything up," he continued. "I didn't mean to fall for her. I thought it was just, I don't know, a phase. I didn't think it would go this far. A phase. That's what he called it." I asked, "Was that apartment a phase?" The retreat you faked? The months of lying? He winced. I know. I don't expect you to forgive me. I wanted to explain. I let him talk. And what he said next blew my mind. He told me Natalie's pregnant. And she told him she's keeping it. That's why he came clean. That's why he told me at dinner. Because she told him a week earlier and said she was done being the side piece. She wants me to leave you, he said. And I laughed. Out loud. Right in his face. Leave me? I said. You already did. He tried to defend himself. Said he didn't plan for this. Said he was confused. Said he never stopped loving me. I told him it didn't matter anymore. Because whether he loved me or not, he chose someone else. And now he was stuck. You'd think that would be the worst of it. It wasn't. After he left Lisa's house, I thought I wouldn't hear from him again. He'd made his bed. Let him lie in it. But 3 days later, I got a call from an unknown number. I don't usually answer those, but something told me to pick up. It was Natalie. And she wasn't crying, begging, or yelling. She sounded calm. Too calm. Sarah, she said. We need to talk. Woman to woman. I told her she had no right to call me. She said, I'm not calling to fight. You need to know the truth. David's lying to both of us. Those were the first words she said when we met up. I agreed to meet her in public, broad daylight, downtown, where I could leave the second it felt wrong. She showed up in a trench coat and sunglasses like it was a damn spy movie. She sat across from me, leaned in, and said, he told me you two had an open marriage. My jaw dropped. I nearly choked on my coffee. He said you knew about me, she went on. That you were fine with it, that he just couldn't leave you yet because of finances. Some old family money or inheritance. Something about needing to stay married until next year. I stared at her, stunned. He told you I agreed to this? She nodded. He said you were actually seeing someone too. That it was just a mutual arrangement. I honestly thought you didn't care. I felt like I'd been punched. She wasn't the evil homewrecker I thought. She'd been played, too. Then she said the words that chilled me, I wouldn't have gotten pregnant if I knew the truth. Natalie reached into her bag and pulled out a folder. After you messaged Ben, she said, he moved out. And he told my parents. And then everything spiraled. So I started going through everything. Texts, bank stuff, credit card bills. I found things, Sarah. Things I can't explain. She opened the folder. Inside were copies of hotel receipts, dinner bills, even Venmo transactions, all between David and other women. Not just her. Not just me. Multiple women. The PI I hired had been tracking David for 2 weeks. Natalie had years' worth of info. There was a receipt from 2021. A spa weekend. 2 guests. Another from last summer. 2 first-class plane tickets to Napa Valley. He never went to Napa. He told me he was visiting his brother in Detroit that weekend. I sat there shaking, flipping through the pages. Names I didn't know. Photos. Flirty messages she found on his backup iCloud account. Dozens of them. David wasn't just a cheater. He was a serial cheater. Natalie hesitated before pulling out the last paper. Sarah. I'm not pregnant. My head snapped up. What? I lied, she said. At first I thought I was. But I'm not. I told him I was because I was scared he'd ghost me. I didn't know he'd actually leave you because of it. My mouth was dry. My brain couldn't process what I was hearing. She went on. But the thing is, once I told him I was pregnant, he changed. He wasn't sweet anymore. He got distant. Cold. He started asking if I'd consider other options. He even offered to pay for, you know. I was speechless. Then she whispered, I think he's dangerous. I didn't know what to say. I didn't want to believe it. But something clicked in my head. Last winter, I slipped on the stairs at our place. My knee was messed up for weeks. David told me I was just clumsy. But now I'm remembering how he never tried to help me clean up the ice outside, even though I asked him 3 times. I thought he was just being lazy. Another time, I got food poisoning. Threw up all night. David slept like a rock. Didn't even check on me. Didn't even wake up, or so he said. Looking back, he wasn't just cheating. He stopped caring about me altogether. I went back to Lisa's and broke down for the first time since this all started. I mean, really broke down. The ugly kind. I told her everything Natalie said. Lisa looked me dead in the eyes and said, "We're changing your locks today." She wasn't kidding. Called a locksmith and had it done within 2 hours. We also added a security camera. Then she drove me to the police station and helped me file a precautionary report. Nothing dramatic, just documenting everything in case David tried anything stupid. The thing is, he hasn't shown up again. Not yet. But something tells me he's watching. Natalie said he's been quiet too. Ghosted her completely. No calls. No texts. Nothing. And that silence? That's what scares me most. Because David doesn't like to lose. And now he's lost everything. Before I wrap this update, there's one last twist. The PI just found out something else. David's company? He doesn't work there anymore. He was let go 2 months ago. Fired. Not laid off. Fired. He never told me. Never told Natalie. But he kept getting dressed every morning, carrying his briefcase, and going to work. Where was he really going? We don't know yet. But the PI says he's close to finding out. I'm scared. Angry. Exhausted. And I know this isn't the end of it. There's more. There's always more with men like him. Stay tuned. Because I promise you, this story isn't over. David. In the same bar. With Natalie. Yes. Natalie. They hadn't ghosted each other. They'd been seeing each other the whole time. Playing it quiet. Lying to me. Lying to everyone. They didn't see me at first. I sat there frozen, margarita halfway to my lips, as he walked in behind her, hand low on her back, whispering something in her ear. Lisa grabbed my wrist. "Let's go," she said. But I shook my head. I was done running. So I stood up. Walked right across that bar, heart pounding so hard I thought it might crack my ribs. When David turned around and saw me, his entire face drained. Like he'd seen a ghost. Natalie spun around too, and she looked just as shocked. I said nothing. I pulled out my phone. Pressed play. Not the kissing video. The folder of texts Natalie gave me. I'd made screenshots into a slideshow. On the screen, I'm only with her because I need time to secure my finances. Then, she's pathetic. She'll never leave unless I push her. Then, don't worry, once the money's sorted, I'm all yours. Natalie gasped. David tried to grab the phone. I snatched it back and said, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear, "So you lied to both of us?" Natalie turned to him, eyes wide. You told me she knew. That you weren't really married. You said I was the only one." David's voice cracked. I didn't mean, you don't understand." Lisa came up behind me like a guardian angel with eyeliner. "No, you don't understand, David. It's over. People were watching now. Heads turning. Bartender leaning over the counter like it was free theater." David started raising his voice. "This is none of your business. You came here to ruin things, you already ruined them," I snapped. "You lied, cheated, manipulated everyone. Even her. You're disgusting." Natalie looked like she wanted to sink into the floor. And then she did something I'll never forget. She slapped him. Hard. Right across the face. Everyone in the bar gasped. She whispered, "I faked the pregnancy to keep you. You lied about everything. We're even." And then she walked out. David turned to me, holding his cheek. "You set this up." I laughed. Actually laughed. "You did this to yourself." He tried to say more. Tried to beg. "We can fix this, Sarah, please, 15 years, don't throw that away." But the thing was, he already did. So I walked past him, grabbed my coat, and left. Lisa followed me out. We didn't say a word until we got back to her car. Then we both burst into laughter and tears at the same time. It was over. The lies. The manipulation. The pretending. It was finally over. The divorce moved quickly after that. David never tried to contest it. I think he knew if we went to court, everything would come out, his cheating, his secret apartment, even his unemployment. So he signed everything. Clean split. He moved in with a friend, according to what I heard. Natalie? I don't know. We didn't talk after that night. Last I heard she moved out of her place. Maybe went back to her family. I hope she heals. I really do. Me? I went back home. Changed the furniture. Painted the bedroom walls. Threw out every mug he ever used. Started fresh. Lisa helped, of course. She even hosted a divorce brunch. It was petty and perfect. People always say you never really know someone. That's true. But I also think sometimes we do know. We just ignore the signs. David stopped choosing me long before he slept with anyone else. He checked out. And I kept waiting for him to check back in. I regret that. Not because I was wrong to love him, but because I forgot to love myself more. I gave 15 years to a man who built a castle of lies. But I won't give him one more minute of my peace. I'm not angry anymore. I'm free. I don't know what the future holds. But I know what I won't accept ever again. No more, maybe he'll change. No more, maybe I'm overreacting. No more trying to be low maintenance just to keep the peace. I deserve more. And I'm not scared to demand it. So to anyone reading this, wondering if they should stay in something that feels off, listen to that feeling. It knows what it's talking about. And if you're in the middle of your own nightmare, like I was, just know, you can survive it. You will survive it. And when you finally walk away, the air will feel different. Like freedom.